to the Dead of Night broadcast. Tune in for your nightmare come true.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Josh and my good friend Louie here. Together we make up the Dead of Night broadcast. I'm also
Where
joined...
all your nightmares come true. I hope I'm not too loud.
No, you're good.
Okay.
But yes, and we're joined by my daughter. She's busy eating goldfish, but together we wanted to just chat today a little bit about some upcoming stuff that Louie and I've got going on.
Definitely.
You want to kick us off?
Yeah, man. So I have a film in the works right now that I've started working on. It's called the Clintonville Slasher, so it's self-titled. It is the 5th film in my horror movie franchise. So this film goes back to 1984 and tells the story of the Lords of Night when they're younger, especially like Laura Dyer's character. She's a teenager at this point, and you get to find out that her and Renee Letts, who was the mayor in the last film, are actually sisters. And so it takes place in that time, and it's Halloween night, and there is a guy that escapes the mental institution that's in town, and he is looking for a way to wake up this old town legend. And the old town legend is said that there is one of the first settlers in this town was named Kate Blood, and she was killed unfairly. She was killed by the townspeople and lit on fire for witchcraft, and the townspeople are led to believe that it was done in an unjust way. So the killer, who will remain nameless until you see the film, but the killer is someone who thinks that they're a servant of hers and wants to kill people because right before she died, right before she was burned at the stake, she said that I will curse this land, and any blood that's spilled, I will collect on my land. I will be able to raise from the grave. So right before Halloween in 1984, the killer escapes and goes to Clintonville. And on the way, some of the kids are at the high school and they want to go and party in this cabin. So there's a trail that goes there. And as they walk through the trail, you will see each individual characters be killed off throughout the entire movie. And the entire movie is the climax getting to the cabin. And there is a twist. This will have a lot of things tied into the outfit changes that I did in the last film, where my character Kevin Allen Murug actually changed different outfits to each character that was killed. That's specific for this film. You'll see why when you get there. I know that was kind of confusing in the last movie, that why was I changing so many outfits, but each outfit that changed was because of it had to do with each individual character. And I know that doesn't make sense in this film, in the Night Howler, but in this movie, it'll all make full circle and come back, and it'll make perfect sense. And this will lead into part 6. And part 6 is called The Curse of the Dungeon Crawler. Nice. And that part 6 will turn into what will take place 5 years before part 3. So it'll be in the year 800 BC. So it'll take place back in medieval times, and how I don't want to ruin too much stuff, but yeah, it'll basically you'll find out at the end why it's going to take place back in the year 800. So I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, nice.
What about you, man? What do you got going on?
Got a few pokers in the fire. You and I are working on 'Tis the Season together.
Yes, we are.
And that one is a sequel to Crimson Nightfall. Takes place a few months after the events of the first film.
Yep.
But with a little bit of a holiday twist to it.
Who doesn't like a little holiday twist horror film?
Right. And as our main killer is finishing off what he started.
Correct. And I've shot most of the parts for me. I've shot, and then there's a couple more things I want to do. especially with the snow going on now. I want to do a couple more parts this way until I can get, because I want you to have the full costume that I used in the movie. I want you to have that and use that for your parts. So I think that would really 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 awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited to don the outfit on
Right.
And finish this new holiday classic.
It was funny about that costume was my grandmother's, and when we were kids, she wore that. She's got this old creepy Santa mask. Thing scared the shit out of me. So when I got it, I was like, dude, I got to use this for a horror film, and I just never had the opportunity. And now it's, oh god, dude, it's so scary looking. I'm excited. I'm excited for 'tis this season. I think it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, and that one just like hit me spur of the moment. Like, it wasn't one that I had planned. I just kind of was like, all of a sudden I was like, you know what? Story's not done. And let's make it, like the first one was around Halloween, and then why not continue it on in the festivities,
Definitely.
And so then I just started. Before I even wrote anything, I kind of just shot that conceptual, like, first little clip video of the killer walking down the street, and it's like cold outside and there's snow, and you see like the knife in his hand's all blood, and he's like, 'tis the season to spread a little holiday fear.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, now I gotta write some things. It was just like a thing, and then I was like, we gotta continue this. This has to be the next movie,
Definitely.
And then my second poker in the fire is actually going to take a bit more time to release. It's going to be Nocturnum, which takes place around Halloween time. Everybody loves Halloween.
Yes, they do.
Mine, however, takes place, starts out in the year 1992. And then this killer, I'm not going to give away too much because there's going to be a lot of twists and turns and things that you'll just have to figure out when the film comes out. But the killer, kills a whole bunch of people. There's like this massacre that goes down just before Halloween. It's not even Halloween yet. But it's the month of October. And then just completely vanishes without a trace. Never to be heard from, for 20 years. And what leaves everyone baffled is there's no traces of DNA. There's nothing to tie back to anyone. There's no set motive, but all things will be revealed as the movie goes on, and we fast forward to 2012, and we believe the killer is back, but we don't know is that someone from his, lineage, like his, grandson, son, daughter, who knows, or is it the original killer? We won't know until
You froze for a second. I didn't hear what you said.
Oh, I was just saying we'll find that all out as the movie goes on. But yeah, I want to leave a lot of mystique and a lot of, mystery to this whole scenario. But
right.
I thought it'd also be fun to kind of, throw back to like the 90s, because you don't see a lot of films touch on the 90s anymore. Only the films that were made in the 90s half the time. Or Fear Street, I guess, would be the only one that I could think of that went back to like 1994.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, you don't see that. You see, usually it's like 70s or 80s.
Yeah. And I think that's going to change in the upcoming years with people making more and more horror films, and that the 90s are getting farther and farther out of reach. As opposed to when we were kids, like the 80s were like a far out of reach. And even like during the 90s, there was a lot of films going back to the 70s, because a lot of the 80s kids grew up in the 70s, and they remember that, and it's nostalgia to them. Same thing with the 80s and the 90s for us. That's nostalgic for us because we grew up in that time period. Well, at least I did. and the 90s is the time period that I grew up in, and you don't see that a lot, but I think you're going to see a lot more of it in, the next 20, 30 years, especially with more and more horror movies that want to go back to the past, that they'll stop going back to the 70s and the 80s. I thought this was really interesting. Is the fact is something I saw online is like, why was the 80s such a nostalgic time for horror films? And it's a lot to do with the fact that that the music industry got together with these horror films and they made these music, and the industry, the record industry, that's not a thing anymore. Anybody that has a music SoundCloud or a music app on their phone can make music. They don't need a studio. You don't need a record studio at all. You can make your own music just in your bedroom, and you can put it online. So there's really no reason for it. So, and then now a lot of times is that you have to go out and you have to find somebody that's in a band that can make music, and that's a really big money marketing tool. So I think a lot of that, and like that's good. That's good. A lot of good can come from that, because you're going to see a lot of indie horror films, and I think the indie horror films are really what's going to take over most of the horror scene within the next few years. Indie horror films are going to be the mainstream. Indie horror films are going to be more mainstream than Hollywood puts out, because Hollywood is only putting out like remakes and requels and all this other shit, but indie horror seems like the only originality anymore. There's no originality in Hollywood. They only have it's just remakes. And like, how many remakes can you make before it just becomes redundant?
Yeah. Right. Yeah, it's going to be the lifeblood of the horror scene. It's like you said, they're just they're recycling material. I mean, occasionally we get like a unique film. Like, I really enjoyed The Black Phone. That was unique and new. And you get some films here and there, but it's not consistent. A lot of it, you're just getting like reboots and requels and.
Don't answer it. I did well. I had to get it. It was cool looking. It's also going to be part of the 80s movie that I'm shooting too, so I put it on the wall, because what else am I going to do with a cordless phone?
Right. Right. What good does it do otherwise?
Nothing. It's a wall decoration now.
Right.
That was probably expensive back in the day too.
Oh yeah, especially with the standards, how like the difference in pay and the difference in like the cost of manufacturing things. And
yeah, definitely. Like,
everything.
I remember back when I was a kid in middle school, and like pagers were a huge thing. Like, cell phones weren't even really a big deal because you couldn't text on them. These were just like, they were brick phones, and now like you can do everything from your cell phone. And like, you got to think about it, like before the internet, like you would think that people that lived in England, that was basically they lived on another planet. You never thought you'd ever meet anybody in England. And now I know plenty of people that live there that I talk on a regular basis, which I think is super funny. 30 years ago, they would have been on a different planet to me. But now with the invention of the internet, you could do literally anything.
Right. And these social platforms and streaming platforms and recording platforms, you can do just about anything. We've had people from all different places, on our shows, like, including like, even from state to state, you wouldn't have people usually on your show,
That's true.
So like you and I wouldn't be having this.
No.
Like, we wouldn't have like some of the guests that we've had. Like, it would have been
definitely.
It would have been harder for us to get Ken on, or Johnny Noise, or oh gosh, was it Travis? Was his name Travis?
Travis, yes. Travis and Brian were on our show last.
Right, like that. None of that would have happened. None of that would have happened if not for all the stuff that we have now. We would have had to like somehow happenstance meet somewhere. Like, oh man, we went to the same convention in Portland, 15 years ago or something, and then we like exchanged information. That would be it. But then we wouldn't be able to coordinate like this or
No,
together unless
no,
one of us
it's
talks to each other.
yeah, and think about it. Like we've both had Justin Wellborn on our show, and he's an actor, and if you would have asked me 20 like back in the 90s would I ever talk to a horror movie actor, I would have said no way. Like where was I ever going to meet them? And now like I talk to Justin Wellborn like almost on a regular basis. And, like we just hit each other back up about we shoot the shit about movies and stuff, and he's a really nice guy. And you talk to the guy who played Winnie the Pooh, or not, or who played Christopher Robins, like that would have been unrealistic. I've talked to Patty Mullen, who played Frankenhooker. Like I'm friends with her online. I've talked to her many, many times, and it's just like you see these films, you never think about that, and it's the great invention of the internet. It's a good tool, and it's kind of evil in the same way. So
yeah, I mean, and like you said, like we wouldn't have been talking to these actors or meeting these people. Like I would have never met some of the directors that I've met, like, and get to go work on like Never Hike Alone 2. I would have never got to meet my favorite like 80s, horror survivor, Tom Matthews. I would have never anything without what we have here. So
yeah, you would never got to hang out with Tommy Jarvis, dude.
Fucking Tommy Jarvis.
And he was cool, wasn't he? He was a cool guy, huh?
He was cool as hell, and he did his own stunt, like in the film, like he did his own thing. Like he didn't need someone to stand in for him. He's not young anymore, but he's still out there getting. But he was super cool, super chill, and I can thank the internet for that, and thank the internet for like our connection now that you and I like do stuff together, and even from far away we can be a part of each other's movies. Whether that's voiceover work or like flown in video or like some of the other stuff that we've done
over StreamYard. Yeah, I know. Like I love StreamYard. I like this way better than I like Skype. This works so much better. It doesn't cut out as much as Skype does, and it's free to use, which I think is great. You just download it straight to your phone. So I really enjoy. I really think that this is a very cool tool. And almost everybody uses StreamYard. Especially when it comes to like live streams, they all use StreamYard. I don't know if there's any other way to do a live stream without it. I've never done a live on my channel.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, because I've also used Zoom. I used Zoom before StreamYard.
Okay.
I don't remember if they had streaming. I know that they had, or like live. I know we could do the same thing that we're doing now.
Right.
But you were limited on unless you bought like the bigger packages, you were limited on how much time the video could be. So like would cut out after like 30 minutes. Versus on StreamYard, we could be on here for 4 hours and post a 4-hour video. You know what I mean?
That's insane. I don't even think that it would load to my YouTube. Like I don't even think I can't load a 1 hour video. It won't load it. It won't do it. Not for my phone anyway. I probably could do it from a computer, but from my phone, it has to be less than an hour. Otherwise, I have to put it in 2 separate videos.
Yeah, that's what it made it. That's what it did. My first interview that I ever did was 2 hours long.
Holy shit!
That was with Midnight Danger, that 80s synth style horror music that we've talked about. That's really yeah. He was my first interview, and he lives all the way over in oh man, where does he live now? It's Sweden.
Sweden. Sweden.
But yeah, it was a 2-hour video, and YouTube made me chop it in half.
Yeah. I just don't think you can load that from your phone. I don't think your phone has enough memory capabilities to load it to the internet. That's why you have to chop it in 2 pieces.
Yeah.
My first interview was you.
Oh yeah,
you were our first. Yeah, our first interview was you.
Crazy. It's crazy to think that's what kick-started the interview series.
Yeah. And I got the idea from Ken Sledge when I saw his like my first horror movie. I was like, this is cool. Like, I wonder if I could do this with bands. And sure as shit, I did it with a lot of bands. It was awesome.
Yeah. No, it's a really good idea. And I like that, because anybody a lot of people can do, and I love like Travis's too. Like his is like independent book writers, independent directors, independent actors. He doesn't like he has that niche that okay, here's where I'm going for. Like we kind of like branch out, like you do musicians, I do both sometimes. I haven't done a musician in a while, but like I like to do actors and musicians and colleagues like other YouTubers, and you do other YouTubers as well. Like but I like how everybody has their own unique thing. And it's just such a fun time. I mean, we all have such a blast talking to each other and having people on and just like sharing our love for horror and like music. I think it's been such a crazy ride, but it's been fun, and I can't wait to see where we head next. Like especially with like our films and upcoming videos and interviews and stuff that we have lined up. I don't know. It's gonna be a busy year.
Yeah, it is. We have a show on Friday, which is pretty great. We have that horror couple coming on, so I'm pretty excited to talk to those guys. I love their YouTube channel, Rob and Kaylee. Yeah, I love their channel. Actually, Rob is the one who found me and started following me on YouTube and started commenting on the videos, and that's how I found him. And I was like, oh, you have a YouTube channel too? And I was like, awesome. So I checked them out, and I just love their interviews together, and they're super cool and they're super fun. I love their interviews. I've seen them on Ken and Ashley's show a bunch of times, and I've wanted to get them on the show before, but hadn't a chance to ask them. I have all sorts of other stuff going on. Not only do we do this and 2 separate shows and make movies, we also have 2 full-time jobs too. So it's kind of hard to get everything, together that we need to. So I'd love to get paid to do interviews all the time. I would love that. That'd be awesome. But I think that this is fun for me. And if it ever became a job, I think it would lose its, lose its uniqueness if it became a job. As long as it's still fun. That's same way I look at playing music. If it becomes too much of a chore, then I don't want to do it anymore.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I know this is kind of it's about a 23-minute video.
Yeah,
that was too short. I was gonna say, I know we've got to get going. I got to go to work and drop this little one off. But I always enjoy getting together and talking about horror and talking about what we got going on. And we got, like I said, we got a great interview lined up for Friday. We've got some other ones lined up.
Yes, we do.
Some that are being rescheduled due to some conflict. But
shit happens.
Yeah. Yep. It happens.
It's all good.
We're gonna keep moving forward, and 2024 is gonna be one hell of a year for horror.
Yeah, it is. Look out, 'cause here we come. Baby, little baby. Adeline, hi. You gonna give me big smiles like you did last night? The big smiles.
She is just tired and ornery right now.
I bet.
Oh. Okay.
Oh.
But all right, everyone.
Stay horror, everybody. We'll see you next time.
See you on the next one.
All right. Later.
Later days.